Good morning, kids. Seventh graders coming live from Casa de Azari. Glad to see you. Glad you can see me. Glad that we are here for a lesson. Okay, so you guys were supposed to read the first 3 chapters of The Giver. Okay, and I've been reading and grading your homework, and we've had some good results for those who've actually turned it in. They're understanding the concepts behind the story. Okay, and Jonas and how he's gonna be unique and different, and how he's going to be special, and he's going to get a special assignment that he's nervous and apprehensive about. Okay, in chapter 3 we start to see a special symbol. Okay, the apple. This is a pear, but just pretend that it's an apple. Okay, so he's throwing this apple, right? He's throwing the apple, and the apple is being thrown back to him, right? And when he's tossing this apple in the air, he starts to notice a change. So he perceives this apple differently than his funny, fun-loving friend, Asher, right? So we start to notice in chapter 3 that Jonas is unique, and the apple, symbolizes change. Okay? And that's that quick write I assigned to you today on the back of your chapter 3 discussion questions, right? Discussion questions were just 3 questions. And then you had to tell me what the apple symbolized. I'm telling you, it symbolizes change, or you can come up with some other synonyms to attribute to this apple, because this is the first time that we understand that Jonas is unique. Okay? So with this symbol, the apple, also his eyes, his pale eyes, it's also another symbol. It's being discussed in chapter 3 because we understand the baby Gabriel also has pale eyes. We start to see symbols that stand for bigger concepts in the Giver. So I want to give a quick lesson, okay? I'll put this on Google Classroom. My video will be on Google Classroom. The PowerPoint will be on Google Classroom. And of course, the notes in which you fill out will be on Google Classroom. Some of you guys pretended like you didn't know how to do this last week, right? When we did the intro to Giver notes. They're like, oh, I don't understand. But you guys understand that the underlying words, got my pointer, the underlying words are what you fill out in the Google Doc notes, okay? They'll be attached. So there'll be a lot of assignments tomorrow. The notes will be due on Friday. The Apple Quick Write is due at the end of or before midnight tomorrow, okay? So the notes and of course the Apple Quick Write, okay? What does the apple in the Giver stand for? So I thought I'd give a good little presentation about symbolism and concepts that we see. So when we have objects that have a deeper meaning, right? And we see symbols all day long. When we think of the Just Nike symbol, we think of Just Do It, right? So we have symbols all day long that we see. We're going to talk about these symbols that we see in the world, in the universe, in America, okay? And what do these symbols mean? So symbolism means a symbol, something that represents something bigger, a big object that represents entire concept or meaning. We see this in literature, like Lois Lowry uses the apple as a symbol of change and uniqueness. And of course, like I said, we see symbols every day in our everyday society, okay? Talked about the Nike symbol. All right, next. So let's look at some symbols. All right, don't have a reader. We're not throwing a ball, just have my brother changing slides. So I'll be the reader, okay? Symbolism. It can be an ordinary object or sign, right? We have all kinds of signs, like the stop sign means stop, okay? That represents a bigger idea or concept, okay? Wedding rings, okay? Putting that not on your middle finger, on your ring finger. Wedding rings, symbolize what? That bond, that unity, right? That dedication and loyalty to your significant other, he or she, okay? So that represents being bonded to somebody, right, through marriage, okay? Then we have our flags. The Mexican flag, the Canadian flag, American flags, flags in general represent different countries and what those countries stand for, right? The stars on the American flag symbolize the 50 states in America, okay? And then, what is this last symbol? I can't really see what that symbol is right here.
Lion.
It's a lion, okay. So lions, and refer to your notes, lions represent courage, bravery, fierceness, right? So this line represents those concepts. Just an object, just a statue, thank you, brother, and just flags, but they represent a bigger idea or concept. We also see that in literature, okay? Next slide. All right, so let's test this out here, okay? So these are some slides, or these are some symbols that you probably know. We have the Statue of Liberty, okay? You've probably seen before. What does this stand for? In your notes, tell me on the right side, what does the Statue of Liberty stand for? What's a bigger idea or concept the Statue of Liberty could stand for, okay? Then we have the peace symbol. Kind of gave it away, right? But what does the peace symbol stand for, okay? Should be able to get that one very easy. So fill these out in your notes as we go along here in the PowerPoint, okay? Then number 3, Uncle Sam. What does Uncle Sam stand for? Have you ever seen this man before? So what does Uncle Sam stand for? Some of you guys might have some different opinions, but what does he represent, right? What is that concept of a bigger idea that could be represented by the symbol of Uncle Sam, okay? In that star-spangled hat. All right, and then the yin-yang sign. This was big in the 90s, in the 60s. What was this sign? What did it represent, right? So what does the yin-yang sign stand for? Just look at what's inside the circle. Look at the colors and come up with a concept or a bigger idea that could be attributed to this symbol, okay? So let's look at our answers. Make sure you fill that out before we give you the answers, but then you go to the next slide. Statue of Liberty. When people see that, right? When they come into America, when they go tour New York City, they see this beautiful statue right in the middle of the island, right? Statue of Liberty could symbolize freedom, right? Liberty, right? Freedom, democracy. So again, the Statue of Liberty could symbolize freedom. And the peace symbol, that's right, children. The peace symbol symbolizes peace. That one was really hard. No, just kidding. And Uncle Sam, that could also symbolize the man with the star-spangled hat, stars in the middle. That could symbolize government, right? Americans' government, okay? Loyalty and being patriotism towards your country, being loyal to your country, respecting your country. So that's a symbol that we've seen throughout time, right? Probably going back to the 30s and the 40s, even further back than that. It represents government or being patriotic. Also meant go fight in the war, kids. Do it for Uncle Sam. That was that symbol. Liberty, freedom with Statue of Liberty. The peace symbol, we saw that in the 60s as well, right? Represents peace. And the yin-yang symbol, we forgot to go over that. The yin-yang symbol represents opposites, and opposites that attract, all right? That have some kind of symbiosis and they're good together, even though they're opposite, okay? White and black. So that's that symbol, okay? So opposites attract, yin-yang. Sorry, forgot to do that one. And we have the peace symbol, number 2, government, patriotism, Uncle Sam, and of course the Statue of Liberty, freedom. So those are some symbols that we've seen in our society throughout time, okay? Symbols, objects, but represent a bigger concept or idea. All right, so what does this mean to us in literature, reading books, short stories, informational texts, novels like The Giver by Lois Lowry? What does this mean? Okay, so in writing, symbolism is the use of an object. Make sure you fill in the underlying words, children. 7th graders, see you. An object or sign represents a bigger idea, bigger than words themselves. Lois Lowry doesn't say the apple represents change, but we understand that it represents change as it flies through the air, and Jonas perceives it differently, right? So through the author, her explanation of objects, the eyes, and of course the apple and how Jonas perceives it, we understand the apple and Jonas's pale eyes represent that he's different, that he's unique. The apple represents change because it changes in the air as Asher throws it to Jonas back and forth. Throw it in your face. And he represents change, okay? So, yeah, go ahead. So it represents change, and I just did that for comical relief. So it represents change because Jonas sees it differently in the air, and that's a very important symbol in the giver. Let's look at some other important symbols in the giver. All right, the apple. Okay, so that was a pear, but we're pretending it was an apple. Here's the real apple. Okay, so it symbolizes uniqueness and change. The eye, his pale eyes, it's kind of blue, but his pale eyes, his and Gabriel's pale eyes represent uniqueness, right? They're different than other people in society who just have dark eyes. They have pale eyes, okay? So they're unique, okay? So the eye represents uniqueness. The apple represents change. This is for your quick write if you haven't done it yet. If you have, you can go back and do it. Okay, sorry. Then we have some other different objects in the giver that we haven't got to yet. The sled and the river, and then Lily's comfort object. Obviously, the comfort object that they call the comfort object in the community is a stuffed animal, okay? But this comfort object is used for a child before they turn 8 to comfort them. So the comfort object symbolizes or stands for comfort. All right, that one was real hard. The sled, as you are going to see, also represents change, okay? Or Jonas's experience of change. And there's other different concepts that are attributed to the sled. But we're not there yet. We're not even close to the sled yet, but just kind of introducing that. And then it's been mentioned before, but the river. And the river, what does it separate? It separates the community from what they call in the giver elsewhere, okay? So it's kind of a line of division, okay? So within the river, on our side of the river, it's the community. Beyond the river is elsewhere. So we'll see more meanings to what the sled and the river, what they mean in the story as the plot continues, okay? But we know the apple is change, so write that in your quick write. And the eye, of course, means uniqueness. It's different, okay? Special, okay? That's why he's going to get a special assignment. I know I'm giving it all away, but you should have read chapter 3 today because I put the audio narration on Google Classroom. And the sled and the river will also be symbols in the giver that we'll explore as the story continues. Next. All right. With the chewing, we're going to explore some symbols that we've already seen in the short stories that we've read, okay? The first one is the North Korean flag. We just got done with the informational text, nothing to envy. So what do we feel, the hammer and the sickle, what do they represent? We've actually already talked about the meaning, but you can go ahead and explore the meaning of the Korean flag. We've already talked about some concepts that we attributed to North Korea. So what does the flag stand for? Make sure you fill out the chewing in your notes on Google Classroom, on that Google Docs. The PowerPoint will be on one side, the notes will be on the other. So fill the chewing out, please. Number 2 is the black box in the lottery. What does the black box stand for? Many of us actually already talked about what the black box stand for, okay? Or stood for in the lottery. So what did it mean, okay? What did it stand for? Tradition, okay? Then go back to Ricky Tikki, first semester, last story of first semester. What did the cobra stand for? What does the symbol of the cobra mean? And what did it mean in the short story Ricky Tikki? And then the gladiator swords. Okay, we read the informational text, the gladiator. What did the shield stand for? We talked about that. Okay, so this is the lesson, but we've already talked about some of these concepts. What do these objects, what are the ideas and the concepts that these objects stand for? Bigger ideas represented by objects or flags. Okay? All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure that you go ahead and do the Apple Quick Write and Chapter 3 discussion questions due Thursday. And also make sure that you complete these notes, the symbolism notes, on Google Classroom with the PowerPoint and the notes where you guys fill it in on the Google Docs. Make sure you complete that before midnight on Friday. So notes, symbolism notes, before Friday night, before midnight Friday. Of course, the Apple Quick Write and the discussion questions, Chapter 3, the meaning of the apple means change. That's due before midnight Thursday. Thank you, 7th graders. I'll see you soon.